All is One Reflections. My name is Reverend Priestess Ocean Kamibi Ifakemi. I am a holistic health practitioner, natural medicine doctoral candidate, alignment priestess, and everything you need to get right mind, body, and soul. Right now, I just want to drop a few gems about understanding the foundations of holistic anatomy and physiology, which is the structure and function of how our body works. So, for those that are in mentorship with me, specifically those that are in my root worker training program, you guys know that there is a lot that goes into healing the body and trying to heal others as well. But we know that when we heal ourselves, we heal our bloodline, we heal our ancestors, our descendants, those around us. This is healing is a community effort. Okay. So I just want to, like I said, just share some gems to help you understand holistic structure and function in a new perspective, in a foundational perspective. For some, this might be an introduction to the concept and all. But regardless, let's get into it. So, when we talk about holistic healing, we know that it is understanding what the body is. The body is a biomedical, biochemical, electrical, and nutritional unit. So within your body, you have your mind, emotions, intellect, behavior, and it's all trapped in your skin. It's unified by the blood, and we're understanding through our organs, tissues, cells, and the different structures of the body that all of this energy is held. In other instances, we know that, or I should say, a simpler instance would just be the concept of chakras. In African traditional medicine, we know this to be Ashuets, with the Kemetic um, background of understanding energy centers. For those that are in my program right now, you guys are currently understanding what it means to body map, which is important for the identification or the diagnostic procedures of identifying the root cause of what might be going on, what is of concern, what needs to be addressed. Okay. We also have to understand that within this concept of healing, we do have the bipolar effect. And with this, we know that regardless of who we are, where we came from, that ancestral DNA has either a good or a bad effect on the nucleus due to the biochemical and electrical makeup. So, this can be passed down, causing organs and tissues to be used in a deliberate or in an unintentional way. And a common example of this can be just your gut feeling. So that intention, that intuition, that knowing. Okay. It's also important that when we are understanding the function of the body, we know that there is an emotional and intellectual conversation that's being held and that's being stored. Most of this is done through memory. Each action and reaction stores a different location, whether it be an organ, cell, tissue, whatever. And it also carries different weight, the heaviness of it all. When you go to the doctor and when you're in pain and they say, describe the pain. Is it throbbing? Is it pressure? Is it burning? Is it stabbing? Right? And we also understand that there is different fats, chemicals, vitamins, minerals that are set to help bring these concerns to balance. So, as these travel through the pathways within your body, these messages are translated and carried out. And we know that these holistic reactions definitely help understand some of the biochemical responses, such as fear or anger, that can be transmitted through your blood pressure, through your pulse. Some might see this as an anxiety attack. So, just right now, within before we really got started, I went through a lot of information about what it means to start to understand the body at the holistic level. So, if this is making sense, let me know in the comments. If there's something that you need me to clarify, let me know. Like I said, I want to make sure that we are being clear when we talk about the way we are approaching healing, especially because of the political climate that we are in. We must take control of ourselves. Okay. Um, So that was just a general overview. Now we're going to get into it a little bit more. So now understanding the physical body. Okay, so when you are having pain or inflammation within your body, it's usually because it's caused through somewhere else, either in your soul, your mind, or your spirit. When you talk about healing the physical body, one of the best ways to do that is through exercise. One of my teachers has, and elders actually, has basically, she said that when you stop moving, that's when your healing is done. And Dr. Ray, when she was saying this, she's talking about exercise. Okay, so understanding what your healing value is, your movement through spirituality, whether it's through prayer, you have to understand that your connection is bigger than yourself. So when you are being active, make sure that you're being intentional with your actions, whether it is yoga, whether it is just simple breathing movements, whether it's just bringing awareness to self. What's very important to recognize that when you are dealing with your physical body, you are allowing yourself to just move and keep moving, but also being aware of what your body needs. Okay. Another aspect of healing the physical body outside of movement is having a healthy diet. And this varies from person to person. I'm not saying everybody needs to be vegan. I'm not saying that everybody needs to be pescatarian, this, that, and the third. What I'm saying that is you need to find the foods that you need as an individual, because there is no diet that is one size fit all. Okay, you have to understand your lifestyle. You have to understand your genetic disposition. You have to understand several factors. And even when we speak about healing your body from the physical nature, you have to understand that you need to be mindful and intentional. So, what you put in your food matters. So, general rules: avoiding processed foods, right, as much as possible, regardless of your diet plan. Avoiding processed foods as much as possible. Eating whole foods as much as possible. Making sure that you are limiting alcohol consumption and tobacco. These are just general rules. Like I said, if you would like something more customized, you would have to speak to either your healthcare provider, and even if you do see other practitioners within the holistic field, please make sure that you are checking that with your provider too. So, and I tell that to my clients as well. After we make a plan, they are still, checking through with their doctor. And that's important because it's not something to work against, especially if you are on medication already, especially if you are predisposed to disease and disorder already. You want to make sure that your healthcare professionals and everybody that you consider to be on your care team have a full understanding of what's going on. If your goal is to be healthy, if your goal is to be your best self, you have to be honest and transparent with what that looks like. Now, I'm not saying everybody needs to know your business, but the ones that are taking responsibility and care for your healing need to know. Okay. What's also important that we recognize. Sorry, I'm just trying to get my notes together. Okay, so we talked about the general understanding of holistic healing. We talked about the physical body. Now we're going to talk about your soul body. So this is talking about your emotions, your instincts. Okay, so understanding at the very foundation that negative emotions create stress, negative thoughts create negative cellular processes. We don't want, again, to build up or to trigger hypertension. We don't want to trigger anxiety attacks or any, and I'm using those examples. I use those examples the most because those are the most common examples that we see. Not saying that there aren't other examples, but at the very forefront, because like I said, I want you guys to be able to, at the very forefront, be able to identify your aspect of healing, be able to master your emotions and being accountable of it. Okay. That's part of your soul body, your perception, watching yourself. I tell my students that when they journal, make sure that they have the feelings wheel so we can be clear. Actually defining where they are in this moment. And that goes back to the intention that we spoke about earlier. Again, making sure that we're taking every aspect of this a step further, because are you angry or do you feel jealous, for example, right? Are you sad or are you hurt, or even taking a step further, disappointed? These are just little things to start to help you build out the vocabulary of how you're feeling and what you're feeling. Okay. Make sure that, especially if we're considering the state of choosing to be healthy and choosing to be intentional with your life, that you are choosing to be well as well. Okay. You're choosing to be objective. Not saying that you can't feel what you need to feel, but we're also being realistic. So that way we can be clear enough to allow emotions to process. For my students, you can understand why I've been making extra emphasis on doing the law of clarity meditation. So understand that when we talk about our soul body as part of our makeup for healing, we know, again, it's not just physical. We know that we are going beyond what we have been trained and taught to believe. We have to take it one step further and several steps further to be intentional with our healing. The next body that I want to talk about is the mind body. So basically, your mental Okay, so understanding first off that mindset change is something that is self-paced and up to the individual. So exercising the mind, it's going to take time because you are going to be battling limiting beliefs, doubts. There are certain fears, especially if you're dealing with aspects of depression, PTSD, anxiety. That's why meditation is important. Okay, so you want to talk about first off knowing that this is helping to know how to create a positive frequency within yourself. And if you don't have a meditation schedule, start small. Literally 5 minutes a day. Meditation doesn't produce immediate results. And it's important to recognize and understand that. But we have to understand if we're making a commitment to ourselves, to our healing, that it is going to be something that's part of our lifestyle as well. So again, when we're having these conversations, it's not just because we're trying to get on the trend. No, we're actually trying to make this healing for me and mine, for you and yours, and those that come after us. Make sure that you are giving yourself grace during this time too. I keep saying that over and over. It's important to give yourself grace when you are healing because there's going to be a lot that comes up, especially if you are recognizing some of the things that I'm putting down. There are going to be some shadows that might appear that are essential to your healing, especially if we're talking about understanding the productivity of your mental, physical, and emotional bodies. We have to not lean or approach it with fear, but in a way that aligns you to know what you need to do for yourself. Okay. And not just out of a sense of obligation, but also for the bare understanding that don't you want to feel good? Our energy body speaks about our life force, our ashe, okay? So blockages in energy centers can prevent free energy from flowing. So we might know this to be chakras. Others might know this to be the aspect of, again, Auschwitz. If we are talking from the African traditional medicine perspective, right? So a common example of this is, throat. If you are having blockages in your throat chakra, more than likely you are having some issues, not only with your communication physically, but also deeper. Let's look at some of the hormones that lie there. Thyroid, just to start. Okay. And even when we look to understand what it really means to have a connection between these energy centers and something as prominent as your I'm sorry, give me a second. So when we talk about the understanding of knowing the correlation between the forces within us, so our life forces as well as our physical makeup, it's very clear for what I just said about understanding how blockages in energy centers prevent free energy from flowing. At the bare minimum, like I said, endocrine system is one of the main systems that are correlated with your chakras or your ashuets. This is because your endocrines are made up of organs and glands that produce, store, and release hormones. And hormones are used to help the body do things to maintain homeostasis. Okay. And when you understand that, when we understand that the chakras and the endocrine systems align to each other, I'm saying that these are the key regulatory centers that help energy, communication, and balance be managed within the body. So, again, the biological approach, yes, is the endocrine system, of course, but it's important to know that your vitality within your body, so your ashe or your life force, is distributed and balanced through these systems, your endocrine and your ashuets or your chakras. Okay, so knowing these help it. If you are one of my students, then you don't even have to worry about trying to figure out what that means. I got you. If you are not one of my students and you'd like to learn more, you can follow the steps in the description so you can book a mini consult with me and we can get started on what defining your healing journey looks like for you. But it's important that you understand that when we speak, whether it's on the molecular level or the energetic level, we are speaking about balance integration throughout the body. Okay. So let me make sure comments are popping. Oh, this was what we're talking about, giving grace. Of course, yes. She said it needs to be said over and over again because it can be very helpful. Because it can be very hard to do, but it is important to the process, especially for consistency. Yes, again, because this is a lifestyle that we are building, not just something just because it's trendy, especially because we know that melanated people are ritualistic individuals. We need the certain rhythm, pattern, and flow to help carry out our intentions for a long lasting way. So, yes, of course. Um, Also, with the energy body, it's important to understand um, again, accountability of self and healthier, how you view yourself. Examine how you spend your time, your thought systems, okay? Recognize how you carry, recognize what you're carrying and what you're consuming. So um, if it's more gossip than anything, get that together. If it's more trash than anything, get that together. You know, at the bare minimum, what you need to do to heal. At the bare minimum, you know what you need to heal. Not saying that you don't need help. We all need help. We all need to make sure that we are, again, in alignment, whether that's making sure our body is in homeostasis, which is why, we do this work, whether from the holistic perspective or those, still studying to be medical professionals or are medical professionals. That at the bare minimum, you know what you need to do. Before you go to the doctor, you know what you need to do to keep your blood pressure in order. Processed foods and alcohol, starting there. We'll always start there. Stress, right? So at the bare minimum, you know. Now, again, when you take it a step further, it is important to know, and I also want to include that the bare minimum should also be those regular checkups with your primary too, because that's also the base foundation. You have to be solid within your foundation. In fact, you know what? Let's actually talk about that for a little bit. When we talk about again understanding the relationship between your endocrine system and your energy centers, your Auschwitz, we know that again they describe key regular markers within the body, how energy is placed, communicated, balanced, and essentially managed. We know that this is done through the intention of homeostasis, where the endocrine system is approaching this from a biochemical point of view, dealing with the hormones, blood, your bloodstream, the organs, tissues directly, and your Auschwitz or your chakras are speaking about the direct energy that is flowing from a physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual point of view. So when we are speaking again of this, how I talked about foundation, which is so important, the Auschwitz of stability, the first main one, your root chakra, that has to deal with your adrenal glands. Okay, so also understanding with that how your body responds to stress, your sense of safety, survival, and grounding. So knowing that when your root chakra is balanced, you are secure and you're stable, but also understanding that your adrenal glands, because you remember, it's not just the energy system, but it's not just the energy system, it's also what is being regulated in that moment. And like I said, with this one specifically, it's the adrenal glands on top of each kidney. So even though the root chakra is centered at the base of the spine, this correlation is made through the adrenal glands due to the overall nature of what it does. Okay, so when we understand our adrenal glands, we are looking to understand, when we are understanding our adrenal glands, we are looking to know that there are parts that help adapt to stress and parts that help regulate and help to adjust certain things within the stress, whether it be sugar metabolism, steroid hormones, or just stress in general. When you look at the adrenal glands, you know that they are responsible for the production of cortisol and having the secretion of adrenaline. It's also important to know that the symptoms of adrenal function include dizziness, weakness, headaches, blood sugar problems, food cravings, weakenings, forgetfulness. So when we are talking about increased blood pressure and heart rate, when we're talking about how our nervous system is being affected, especially in the aspects in which our root chakra is involved, these are things that need to be considered, especially because some of these are predisposition for certain disorders such as diabetes, chronic fatigue syndrome, things like that. Okay, so when you are working with your chakras, like I said, yes, understand the energy that it carries, but also understand the biochemical makeup as well. Especially because at the foundational level, this is very clear to help understand how to show up for yourself and your body. We also need to know that, again, when you are moving and working with this energy. You are squatting, you are dancing, you are doing literally any type of physical movement. And it's important that you are also taking care of yourself in a realistic way, starting with diet, of course. Making sure that you're together with your vitamins C, B, zinc, and calcium are the main vitamins that are very essential for melanated individuals. Yes, there are others. Yes, there are some that might be great specific to you, but I'm just speaking about in a general aspect based off of my studies and research and approach within African traditional medicine and this healing. Okay. So, at the very core, like I said, understand how these energies show up for you, understand how they show up for others, and make sure that at minimum you are being accountable, going to the doctor, doing your energy checks, and just taking care of yourself, okay? The last thing that I want to make sure that you guys, the last thing that I want you guys to know and to just feel confident in is really know that you can heal yourself and you don't have to be so consumed by the westernized approach of this crazy ass work culture and diet to really overwhelm where you are with your healing. We know as a people, especially melanated individuals, we already deal with a lot and we're already predisposed to a lot. Our healing is no different, especially because genetically speaking, we know that we carry what our mom, grandma, all of them carried from a physical and emotional point of view. That must be honored, that must be healed, that must be recognized, but we also must be accountable, especially because now we are in a day and age where we don't have, where we do have more resources than what was available to us. At the same time, our ancestors did an amazing job of preserving and applying their knowledge to some of the healing techniques that we see today, especially within big pharma. So that also needs to be recognized. Within this time, I have explained the foundations of holistic healing. I have made it clear to know the importance of healing your body from the inside out, from your energy body, spirit body, physical body, and mind body. All of these approaches are essential for any root worker, any energy worker, anybody that is trying to heal for themselves or heal others. If you would like customized anything, whether it be divinations, products, you can check the description in the caption because I am running a sale right now, especially if you want to be a product sampler of some of my new products that are coming out. I do want to thank you all for watching. If this blessed you in any way, shape, or form, please leave a love donation. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. My name is Reverend Priestess Ocean Kamibi Ifa Kemi. I am a naturopathic healer. I am a biomedical health scientist, alignment priestess, and everything you need to get right, body and soul. I am glad that you guys were here, that you guys were able to catch up on these gems. And until next time, peace. Like the river.